Welcome back, Alpha Hunters. Hopefully, you're having what is today? A wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And we are now going to get to the part of the week where we're actually going to get some information. We're going to get data Thursday morning, Friday morning, and then earnings also start Friday morning with, some big banks. So, big financials. All right, so let's run through how the market's been performing today, and then I'm going to talk about a stock, and then we'll kind of continue on with the normal stuff. But SPY, a little bit of a gap up today. Nothing much kind of going on there in the first hour and a half, or really 2.5 hours. It was just kind of choppy, slow grinded there for the third hour of the day, going in the middle part of the day. That's kind of where we are now. We've just kind of been slow grinding. Not too much going on. We are up 0.4% on the market on the SPY, and that's just kind of where we are. Qs are up pretty good, up or a little bit over 0.5% there on the Qs. You can see a little bit more of an uptrend throughout the day there on the Qs. IWM kind of a little bit of a lower open, a little bit trade lower there today. And then, we got the quick bounce back. And then it's been trying to curl up throughout, the past 2-3 hours. So that's kind of the way the IWM is. DIA, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, a little bit of a gap higher, but it's just, quick pop on the open, came back down, just kind of chopped, sideways for the most part of the day. RSP rolled over on the open, and it's been slowly trying to climb back to positive, pretty much flat right now from that open sell-off. So let's talk about one stock very much in particular, and I hear a lot about this, NVIDIA. So the reason why I want to talk about this real quick is, man, the past 2 days I've seen a lot of people talk about selling, shorting, whatever, bearish on NVIDIA, and I'm like, dude, don't, like, there's, like, if you're looking for opportunities, or your whole mindset in trading is to not to get the flashy thing, is to get the things that make money, right? And right now, this is not trying to be bearish here is going to make you money. Now, you might be really good at counter trending and finding once the pattern breaks, or once the trend breaks, maybe going bearish on it. Here's a 15-minute look of it here over the past couple of days. So, could you find maybe a bearish opportunity here on NVIDIA? Yeah, it's very possible. It's very possible. I wouldn't want to be looking for it, right? Let it just do its thing. We very clearly had highs here throughout the second half of the year last year. You can say we're between like 480 to 500. Kind of, we were topping out there several times, and but we were making lower highs there throughout Q4, and then to start 2024, you see a lot of people flooding into it. Is this a lot of people just saying, hey, you know what, I want to be bullish on NVIDIA after taking profits, or taking profits or gains to start the year? Now they're just flooding into NVIDIA. Yeah, it's very possible. But this does not say to be bearish. Look for the easy things to make money on, not what you want to happen, okay? Look for the easy things, not what you want. So that's all I kind of want to say about that. Take your time, very clearly understand what the direction is. If it's going, bottom left, top right, don't try to be bearish on it. If it's going top left, bottom right, okay, look for a bearish entry. Don't fight the trends. This thing's breaking out. This is all-time highs again today. Don't try to be a hero. You're never going to get the exact top, you're never going to get the exact bottom. So don't look for it. If it rolls over here over the next month, gets back below 500, and then maybe gets back below this little pivot point that it hit to start the year on January 3rd, then maybe you start to look for a setup. Maybe you do. Maybe it comes down and consolidates around 510, 520, and then you want to take that breakdown. Okay, that's fine. But right here, right now, it's probably just not giving you anything. Don't look for it. Look for it later on. Things will give you very clear indications whether to go bullish or bearish, but this is not one that I would think you would want to be you want to be bearish on. Like, so don't look for it. So that's all I want to say about that. Anyways, go back to our regularly scheduled program. Click. All right, RSP. Sideways action here. Yeah, one of the things that looks kind of interesting is, I mean, we kind of got like a little handlebar over here. Kind of starting to form a little bit of a handlebar on this side too. Obviously, we got a little bit of a head action. A little bit of sideways action back over middle December. Kind of getting a little bit more sideways action here. So I'll be very curious to see how this RSP performs here soon. Because if we don't get the continuation higher, I mean, it's just, it's just going to drop off. And if it does drop off, then we'll get into that air pocket. And this is something I kind of want to talk about today. That if we don't bounce here on the market after Monday's very strong bullishness, getting that continuation, then, we'll see sellers come back in. IWM hasn't really continued over its Monday high either. The Dow Jones, what was the Dow? The Dow's close. It got close to that Monday high. Qs have continued. People continue to flood into the Qs. Big tech areas, even though AAPL's down, but they need to go hit some trending highs. SPY up almost 0.5% right now. You see the SPY is getting really close to taking out that December high. Really going to be interested to see what happens. It looks like it might do that here soon. So how, or maybe the way you want to play going into tomorrow and for Friday, do you want to be bearish? Man, that is so tough. It's a tough question. The market has very strong momentum, and it's very difficult to overtake that momentum until you get to a part where, like, the market just kind of gives up and you just see the buying. And maybe we did see that throughout much of November, December, because we just saw just a bunch of buying come in. But tomorrow we're going to get CPI. I don't expect anything crazy from CPI and inflation data, whether that's tomorrow or Friday morning with PPI. So I can understand saying, trying to take a little bit of a bearish stance, but I wouldn't be aggressively bearish. And I don't know if I would want to be bullish too much. But as we get into Friday and earnings on Friday, that would be a very interesting one, because if corporate earnings really start to take a hit and show that, the corporations that really aren't doing all that well. And I get it. Friday, you're trying to make a guess really on like 3 or 4 companies that are going to have earnings that day that are really going to be meaningful earnings that day. It's not going to be, a very strong case, I guess, to try to make that assumption. But the one thing that I would say is JP Morgan will have earnings. That's going to be the big one. If you look and see how overextended, I mean, this sucker's been on just such a strong run, even to start the year. And look at this, it's starting to break down here recently. Past couple of trading days, right? And that was when the market ripped it on Monday. Well, JP Morgan through a pretty huge lower hammer, and we actually broke that lower hammer today. So JP Morgan's kind of giving you a little bit of an insight that maybe we're starting to change directions here, and it's going to be, giving earnings there on Friday morning. So I kind of like the idea of playing a little bit of a bearish play going into, data Thursday morning, Friday morning with earnings there on Friday also, and then maybe early next week. But oh man, it is a real it's such a tough one because you're expecting the market that this would be like dang near the top level that we would get to because we're going to form this head and shoulders pattern, right? Where you got the shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, shoulder, and that's basically about right where we are right now, is in line with that shoulder that we formed back in kind of mid-December, and you're expecting it to kind of drop. I like it. The other cool thing about trying to be bearish here in anticipation of this kind of playing out is you very much clearly have two very clear stop loss spots, right? Obviously, you have the high of December, and you have the all-time high up here around 480 on the SPY. And I would rather have my stop loss maybe a little bit above 480, because if you're trying to say, hey, you know what, I think this will happen, but if this breaks down, I mean, you're going to look for much lower lows, eventual lower lows. But if we do push a little bit higher tomorrow on a gap up, maybe CPI basically flat, comes in line. I'd see us probably pop up a little bit and maybe come snag the high from late December. And if the SPY does that and the Qs don't do that, if they don't take out that late, maybe December high, that would be that switch that you kind of often look for, right? The SPY down here, October 27th was the low there for the SPY before we went on a run. The Qs bottomed October 26th. So that's that switch that you're always talking about. The Qs kind of front lead, the turning of the market maybe by like a day or maybe a week or a couple of weeks. Usually when you top out, it usually takes a couple more weeks. So you can see the Qs here topped out July 19th. Before we went on a couple months of bearishness, the SPY actually topped out July 27th. So it took maybe about a week and a half. So that's kind of what you're looking for. I do like the idea of maybe trying to get bearish today, maybe take a little bit of a bearish position today if this head and shoulders happens. If not, maybe add a little bit more if we do break that December high, and then see if the Qs are not breaking that December high. Also, that would be the other condition, and part of that is the Qs cannot be breaking that December high. And then you have a stop loss kind of up above all-time highs. And that's kind of the way I would look to play it. I kind of like it. And we'll find out if it kind of works out. It's not going to be not an easy one to kind of play, but it's kind of the way I would like to do it. So, anyways, that's kind of my thoughts about going into the end part of this week. And if inflation, right, if it comes in higher than expected, then yeah, you probably think that the yields would rise. You'd probably think that the market would drop pretty good. If inflation comes down, I don't know what would happen. Either it's going to look either bad or good for the market. I mean, that's kind of like a duh statement, but I mean, it could be bad because if inflation drops, it just kind of says, okay, we're seeing less economic activity, and if it's good, people are going to say, well, yields are dropping, because that's what would be the most likely outcome. So, anyways, kind of my take right here. I kind of dig the whole bearishness, or trying to be bearish up at this level. I kind of dig it. The past 5 minutes that we just looked at, it looked like it was kind of trying to push higher. And we're not too far away from that late December high there on SPY, and we're a little bit further away from it on the Q. So yeah, I mean, we could see that switch happen here tomorrow, maybe tomorrow morning, maybe the end of day today. I don't know. That'd be. I wouldn't think we would continue to push that much higher today, but well, it's possible. All right, let's continue to run down VIX. VIX. VIX is not really doing anything. VIX is just hanging out. Okay, VIX, not doing much. DXY, hanging out, not really doing much. This thing definitely looks like it wants to break higher. I mean, it's consolidating after a couple of very strong days to end December to start January. Huge doji. You'd think that maybe that would be a breakdown. If you ever see a big doji or a reversal candle and the market does not reverse immediately, typically the market will continue whatever the previous trend was. The previous trend was bullish. I would imagine this probably continues bullish. All right, GLD. Dollar down a little bit, kind of flat, but the GLD gold dropping off a little bit. Nothing crazy. I'd still just rather be buying dips, not trying to be bearish on gold for any reason. 10-year yield broke yesterday's low a little bit, but did not break Monday's low. Pulled back to the 10 EMA, bounced there today. How does that look intraday? Oh yeah, it looks pretty good actually. So yeah, you can see that 15-minute, yeah, broke down. Nope, that was yesterday, early day yesterday. So yeah, overnight we can see we broke down pretty good, kind of double bottomed in the early morning hours, and then we've been running bullish on the 10-year yield ever since the market kind of opened. So, which is rather interesting, since the market's been bullish and yields have also been bullish. Okay, 10-2 inversion. All right. Yeah, we know last week got a strong pop there on Friday. Monday had a higher open, but not really breaking down anymore. Maybe we'll see this thing pop higher here over the next couple days as we'll get some data that impacts the yields. HYG, take a look at the bonds. So false breakout right at the end of December. Broke down pretty good to start the year. Maybe it's going to retest into this level. I know a lot of people will be looking at this as well, as you got a shoulder, neckline, head, neck, shoulder, neckline, and then shoulder, possibly kind of set up. The other way you kind of look at head and shoulders patterns, because you don't know, it's kind of hard to play head and shoulders until they actually break that neckline. But the way they typically also set up is you have a bullish move, and then you also have a flag pattern, right? Flag pattern. That's also how kind of head and shoulders patterns kind of play out. So it's very difficult. And I know I was just talking about the head and shoulders pattern, like on the SPY, trying to play that maybe bearish. I mean, it's, you know, sometimes it's just worth a shot. But typically it's very difficult to play those until that neckline gets broken. And then that confirms basically it is a head and shoulders pattern. So those are the two ways you kind of look at these patterns until it breaks one way or the other. It could just be a flag pattern. Most of the times, it usually is. LQD, a little bit more of a breakdown at the end of December, early January. Retested into that kind of channel it had there in mid-December and rejected. Okay, TLT. TLT, it is trying to break down. So this might, and if you remember, back in the summer, we were talking a lot about this. As TLT was breaking down, this was kind of front-leaning what the market was about to do. As the TLT was breaking down, it was like, okay, bonds are probably going to follow, like the LQD and HYG, as in bonds. They're going to follow the TLT on the breakdown here. And they might, maybe TLT front leans on breaking down this time again. Let's check out sector rotation, sector performance. How we doing intraday? Ooh, energies. All right. Energies just all over the place to start this year, man. Just all over the place. All right, what do we got here? So with the gap, we got energies that are really underperforming. You can definitely tell that they're underperforming big time intraday also. So I expect them to probably be down there when I take out that gap. So energy is underperforming pretty good. Staples, materials also underperforming. Financials underperforming. Utilities underperforming. Healthcare, industrials, and real estate all underperforming. So tech, discretionaries, and communications, the big tech areas are the only sectors outperforming on the day. Okay. Does that make sense? Well, yes, it does. Tesla is basically flat, but Amazon up pretty good, and you got Alphabet, Meta. Meta's doing killing it. I'll take a look at Meta a little bit later. Microsoft looking very good. Nvidia, yeah, we know it's all-time highs again today. And yeah, that's basically it. That's why you see the SPY, the Q's up pretty good, and RSP not really doing a whole lot. I mean, it's just the big tech areas of the market. So if we take out the gap, how does it look? XLC, yeah, Meta looks like it's really kind of flexing its muscle today. Discretionaries and tech also doing pretty good. Yeah, healthcare, industrials, real estate, financial, utilities, materials all underperforming. Staples also underperforming pretty good. And yep, there's energies down at the low end on the day. Okay. So nothing, I guess nothing too shocking there except for how bullish big tech has been. And I'm going to take a look at energies real quick because I know we were trying to bounce yesterday off of a pretty good breakdown on Monday. So I just wanted to see if we were on the commodities, if we were breaking down. But you can see very clearly, man, we have a very tight pennant pattern kind of coming in here. We're getting really tight on it. You can probably even go back to here. So expect sometime soon we are going to break this. We are going to break this pattern. Man, it's getting tight in there. So, all right. Crude oil. Again, brutal. Gasoline's on a big upper wick. Heating oil also kind of breaking down a little bit today. But yeah, crude oil, expect a pretty good move here sometime next, by the end of the week. I'll say by the end of the week, next day or two, Thursday, Friday. And we might get it tomorrow when we get interest rate decisions. Everything might really move. So